disease. Kidney disease. Right? For the people that silently watch in the background, looking for information on improving their kidney, which kind of should be anybody with a pulse. Right? Anybody with a pulse. If you eat bad foods, if you eat meat, dairy, and junk food and fast food, you should be worried about your kidneys. Even if your kidneys are healthy right now. If you go to the hospital and the doctor tells you your kidneys are fine, but you know that you eat meat, you eat fast food, you eat snacks, and you eat dairy, your kidneys need help. I'm just telling you, right? They're like overworked, lower middle class parents, right? They're making it. The kids are fine. The lights are on. We got dinner, but man, I need you to hit the Cash App. I need you to hit what's that other thing that goes onto my bank account? Whatever. Website, AmericanHealer.website. I need some help. Like we making it. The lights is on. We get a water emergency. We got a few dollars to go secure us some water for the next few days or whatever. But man, that's the state your kidneys are in, right? That's the state your kidneys are in. Your kidneys are making it. They good. We got sandwiches. The lights come on, but woo! Trust me. If you eat fast food, your kidneys need help. If you eat pizza, your kidneys need help. If you smoke weed and then act on the munchies, your kidneys definitely need help. If you smoke weed, period, your kidneys need help. Because smoking weed it puts your adrenal glands into overdrive. And it puts the adrenal glands into overdrive. That stress bleeds over to your kidneys, right? Because your adrenal glands are located basically on top of your kidneys, right? So I was thinking of Zell. That's the thing I was thinking of. Yeah, there you go. Oh, you showing out. Talking about seeded yellow watermelons. Yeah, you showed out. Yeah, no, that's a fact, J-Mar. That is a certified big fact. He's just showing out with them yellow watermelons, though. Yeah. We ain't getting no yellow watermelons in the neighborhood. That's not coming to the neighborhood. And if it do, it's going to be going that day. All right, so then we have level 6, which is comedic naturopathy, right? This is the comedic naturopathy or naturopathic application, right? So we do have a level dedicated to application, right? What should person X eat to improve condition Y, right? Athlete or elderly with fatigue, right? Hypertension patients, right? Neurodegenerative risk, erectile dysfunction, right? Hypoxic states. Now, who experiences hypoxic states? Anybody who does real exercise, right? What is a hypoxic state? Hypoxic state is when you're out of breath, right? Typically, when you're exercising and you're out of breath, that means that the lactic acid level is up and the carbon dioxide level is up. So you're not being able to match the speed. Like So say for instance, you're running, right? You running, or you're doing your 60 and 60, right? Or you're training to build up to where you could do 60 push-ups in 60 seconds, right? So you're trying to do push-ups as fast as possible, right? In order for you to do the exercise, whatever the motion is, whether it's a push-up, a run, a bench, whatever, for those muscles to work, you have to convert sugar into electricity, which then allows the mitochondria to do its thing in terms of recycling ATP. So then you can get the light out of the ATP, right? So electricity to light is the process, right? In that process, as you're breaking down sugars, right, your body has to get rid of the carbon the leftover carbon. So you have to bring in oxygen to match the carbon, right? So that's one thing that's taxing your oxygen. And you can only break down sugars at the speed that you can match the oxygens to the carbons. That's one thing. But then you also have to wrestle with recycling lactic acid, right? So you have to recycle lactic acid. That takes water and oxygen. Thankfully, water is in oxygen, right? Mitochondria also recycling water, right? But those are the two things which primarily determines your endurance, right? Your ability to get oxygen into the tissues and neutralize the waste products of muscle usage or electricity production in the muscles, as well as the metabolizing the substrate to produce the electricity in the first place. Right? Hopefully that's not too much. Hopefully that makes sense. Right? So breaking down the sugars and the fatty acids, you need oxygen for that. And then just the contracting and relaxing of the muscles produces lactic acid, and you need oxygen and water for that. Right? So this is why when you get out of breath, you stop running for a little while. Or if you're jogging and you get out of breath, you stop jogging for a little while. Or you can't do no more push-ups. You done got to the last one and you're like, and you stop. When you stop the movement, you keep breathing. In fact, you might breathe harder. And you get all this oxygen in. And all that oxygen without the movement allows you to reset everything. And then you can start the movement again, right? Then you can start the breaking down sugars and fats to produce electricity and using the muscles and, recycling lactic acid and all that kind of stuff, right? So all those are considered hypoxic states for clarity, right? Hypoxic states, right? So almost everybody that exercises, right, you experience hypoxic states, right? From plate to mitochondria. Show me how this food becomes light, right? Show me how this food becomes light, right? This probably here level 7. That's why it says Codex level. For John Q. Public, this may not even, right? This may not even be relevant for John Q. Public, right? This may not even be relevant for John Q. Public. But for us, it is. It's just another level, right? All right. And so we go through a bunch of foods, right? Black currants. Let me think.
Oh, I know what I'm supposed to do. Good.
Good thing I have my grocery shopping list. Don't leave home without it. Baduka, right? Baduka, right? Baduka. That's the Kemetic name for watermelons, right? They created watermelons. Think about that. Kemet invented watermelons. They gave the world watermelons. So while we here talking about the benefits of watermelon, we should be talking about the genius of Kemet. The genius of Kemet is the benefit of watermelon. They literally invented watermelon as a way to deal with the health issues of that time, right? Diabetes, high blood pressure, like watermelons are like a living plant pill, like a living capsule. A watermelon is like a living herbal capsule for high blood pressure and diabetes. Right? Think about that. They invented it. Right? Hybrid. That's why, going back to Dr. Sebi's food list, that's why I realized early on, even as I was getting the benefit from it, feed my children, but I realized early on, it's not so much that Sebi's food list needed a bunch of work because there's understanding missing. Sebi's food list wasn't for you to live by. That wasn't a living food list, right? What we have, the electrician, this is a living food list. This is a living food list in here. The shopping list, what Dr. Sebi had was a healing food list. And I know some people are like, wait a minute, are you saying that there's a difference between a living food list and a healing food list? Yes. His food list was designed to go with his herbal program. So that while you're taking his herbs for whatever condition led you to see him, you would be eating certain foods that won't get in the way of the herbs' healing effects. Because sometimes you can take one healthy food and another healthy food and they can cancel each other out. It doesn't mean that either food is unhealthy. It just means that chemically, right, they're antagonists of one another. Or biochemicals present in one are antagonists to biochemicals present in the other, right? So he took the time, this GOAT level behavior here. You know what I'm saying? He took the time to put together a food list that would complement his herbs, right? Problem is people didn't understand that, which is why when they see Dr. Sebi somewhere and he eating some crazy stuff that's nowhere even close to what's on his food list, the earth got to stop spinning because they're like, oh, Dr. Sebi exposed. He ate a burger. Dr. Sebi was eating fish. Dr. Sebi was eating snakes. Dr. Sebi was drinking milk. Well, according to Dr. Sebi never said you couldn't ever eat those things ever again in your life. That food list was not for that. So it just, like I said, a lot of the inspiration from that food list was based on just the lack of knowledge surrounding it. I realized that we still haven't got a day-to-day actual food list because that food list is not that. That's not a day-to-day food list for, like that food list is for sick people. What about once you follow that list and now you all healthy again and you exercise it and you trying to just stay that way? That's not the food list, right? Then there was some other stuff with like hybrids, like spelt is one, watermelon is another. Watermelon is a hybrid. Now I dare any of the people that love Dr. Sebi even begin to fix their face and lie and say they giving up watermelons. I have not met a black person or a white person. Y'all be throwing the watermelons on us, but when I be at the supermarket, White folks got 3, 4, 5 watermelons, and they listen. I don't know nobody giving up watermelons. They could put AIDS and cancer in watermelons, and people would just drop dead. Nobody's giving up watermelons, right? But I'm just saying, according to the no hybrid rule, according to the no hybrid rule, you're not supposed to have watermelons because watermelon's a hybrid food, right? So I use watermelon as just an example of the fact that the no hybrid rule is not, and like it's not, you know what I'm saying? When Sebi was talking about no hybrids, it was really more like no modern laboratory hybrids. That's what he was really on, right? Because the modern laboratory hybrids have had the composition of the plant change, not for the benefit of people, but for commercial interests, right? So that they last longer shelf life, or, you know, farmers don't lose their crop in the winter, or whatever the case may be. But it's not to boost the nutrition. It's not to make the plants more therapeutically active. It's not to make stronger wild plant, you know what I'm saying? It's not for those things, because nature makes its own natural hybrids for survival, right? But yeah, before we get into watermelon, I just wanted to let y'all know, watermelon's definitely a hybrid, but it's not a laboratory hybrid. It was created in Kemet, right? It was created in Kemet. Baduka, right? All right. So watermelon, not only just water, sweetness, right? Opens the vessels, right? So here's the macro, and here are the keys. Keys open doors. Keys open doors. Keys open, keys open, keys open doors. Citrulline, the star of the show in terms of watermelon nitric oxide production. Lycopene, right? Very similar to betalain, right? The beet pigment, right? Lycopene is watermelon, tomato, right? You throw tomatoes in there. Lycopene is in watermelons, tomatoes. It's a pigment in red fruits also. Red fruits, vegetables, right? Vitamin C, potassium, magnesium, B5, right? Digestion. Right? And then we can start to jumping around as you will, once you have your book and your interests, right? You'll start to jumping around to certain places, right? Now, this is what I was looking for, right? So vitamin B5, one of your B vitamins, very important in the cholesterol hidden conversation, the hidden conversation of cholesterol, vitamin D, blah, 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 blah. Right? In fact, let's stop right here for a second.
What am I missing? What am I missing? Oh, I know what I'm supposed to do. I know what I'm supposed to do. Good. Good thing I have my grocery shopping list. Don't leave home without it.
Okay. Yeah, I want y'all to look at this real quick. Now, of course, we have books. So, of course, in the photochemistry book, we have the the much more detailed biochemistry. But the Google demons, as our illustrious Saint Hotep Jesus, yeah, we've given him sainthood. Saint Hotep Jesus. The Google demons have also given us a nice little view here so that when we having this conversation, you get an idea of it, right? So this acetyl-CoA, right, is a part of the energy cycle, right? This is very much a part of the energy cycle, right? So I want y'all to get that there's a, man, we've been talking for hours today and we have not gone to the whiteboard, right? Because what, this is almost, this is 90 minutes plus an hour and change earlier. That's like 2-3 hours with no whiteboard, right? We're setting all-time records for no whiteboard. Okay. So you have your carbs and fats, right? Actually, you know what? That's a whole nother rabbit. Even though it's similar, get you in the same place. We're going to stick with carbs. The carbs break down to go into this energy cycle. We're just going to put EC, right, for energy cycle or electron cycle, right? But a part of this energy cycle is the cholesterol. And you won't see it in any textbooks looking anything close to that because they're going to go with acetyl-CoA or acetate-CoA or something to that effect, right? But cholesterol is the most important product that comes out of that whole side quest. Yeah, we live in the Minecraft world now. We in the world of Minecraft and streamers and gamers. So side quest. That's what the perfect term for this. Side quest. This side quest of acetyl-CoA is what eventually becomes your cholesterol. So this is the most important side quest probably in all of biochemistry. This side quest leads to cholesterol, which then leads to all of your sex hormones and vitamin D, right? Statin drugs that people take for high blood pressure basically form a blockade right here and destroy this side quest mission. So there's no side quest in a person taking statin drugs. So this is why eventually the person taking statin drugs is also going to need drugs for their sex and vitamin D production and a whole bunch of other things, right? And this is kind of what the side quest looks like. Well, actually, remember, right? You got the 6 carbons, right? And then the carbon's going to get broke down into 3 and 3. And then the 3 and 3 are going to get broken down into 2 and 1. Right? That one single carbon is going to have to get combined with oxygen, 2 oxygens. Right? That's waste. Right? That becomes your CO2. But these 2 carbons here is what can go off on that side mission. And then the side mission looks something like this, right? Acetyl-CoA, HMG-CoA, mevalonate, isopentenyl, farnesyl, squalene, lanosterol, and then finally cholesterol. Right? So, important side mission that leads to cholesterol. Very important. Now, in order for that to happen, to facilitate this side mission, one of the key elements that you need is in the watermelon, which is B5, natural B5. Now, of course, you can get supplements for B vitamins, but just remember the supplements for B vitamins are supposed to be used in conjunction with foods that actually provide you B vitamins. Right? So the supplements go with the foods. The supplements don't replace the foods. Right? And the reason being is because they have never been able to reproduce the actual same thing that nature does. Just very, very close approximations. If they could replace food, we wouldn't have farms. All right. Disease pathway integration. Right? Now, again, something like this. Who needs heat and lymph congestion help? Every single human alive. Right? Who needs cognitive improvement? Every single human alive. Right? That's what I was talking about earlier when we were discussing the dreams. Right? The compound on the website, if you go to AmericanHealer.website, is called watermelanin. Right? Because some of the ingredients come from watermelons. Right? But it's water, not watermelon, it's watermelanin. Right? Because it increases the dopamine production, which increases neuromelanin production and activity. Right? And the increase in dopamine and neuromelanin activity is where you get the dreams and the ability to read all these books and help remember some of the stuff a little bit better than, it's not like a limitless pill, you know what I'm saying? But it's kind of close. It's not exactly like a limitless pill, but it's kind of close. It's kind of close. Watermelon is wild. Right? But yeah, heart disease prevention, post-stroke, brain fog, right? When we get to comedic naturopathy applications, right? And then again, being able to extract information, right? Once you get to another level with the study, you start putting stuff together, right? And so I'm probably going to have to drop, not probably, I will obviously have to drop something because we have to have a much bigger conversation on these are the hidden visceral fats, right? We got perivascular, right? This is the hidden fat in the brain, right? Then, of course, we talked about this guy. Hidden fat in the heart. And then with muscles, it's called myosteatosis or something like that. Myosteatosis. I don't want to butcher the spelling, so I'm not even gonna write it up there. But it's called steatosis or something to that effect. Anyway, but we'll have to put something together to bring that conversation back because it's in a few of the older books. It's in a few of the older books. We discussed it a lot. Muscle fat, right? Fat hiding inside your muscle cells. Because I believe from my studies, Dr. Sebi was probably one of the first people that recognized it, right? Even though back then there was no term for it. Because remember, Dr. Sebi is getting busy in the 70s and 80s, right? So there's no term for it. He's calling it all mucus, right? He's calling it all mucus. But now we have intramyocellular lipids and we just have a bunch of different terminology to specify some of these things that didn't exist. What do they do? Oh, they out there trying to work on the sewer system and the water pipes and all that. But yeah, so we got a lot of terms now to use to describe some things that didn't exist at this time, right? Intramyocellular lipids and some of those other things that we talk about as being part of the problem with diabetes, heart disease, blah, 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 right? All right, so we went through two of these, one better than another. Let me think of another food. Let's think of another food. What's another food? Somebody think of another good, healthy food that's probably in this book. Let's see if somebody can guess a food that's in this book that we should look at. Somebody give me a food, a single food that might be in the book. No, cactus is not in the book. You tried it. Cactus is not in there. Stop trolling. I'm going to go to grapefruit. If nobody else picked nothing, I'm going to go to grapefruit. Oh, you know what? Garlic, because M4 mentioned garlic earlier. I might go to garlic. Let's see if I can find it. Because I'm from the Bronx. You know what I'm saying? I'm from the Bronx. And I feel like, yeah, that'd be a good, just to represent the culture. Like, hold up, man. I got to represent the culture, bro. I got to represent the culture. Yeah, I got to represent the culture. Listen, you get off the train in the Bronx, even you get off the highway, you get off the Deegan, right? You come across the bridge. You come across the bridge up on 181st Street. It don't matter where you enter the Bronx. 149th, 135th, 181st, wherever you enter the Bronx at, there's a high chance that you might just all of a sudden smell garlic. Yeah, you might just smell garlic coming into the Bronx. Yeah. That's because Puerto Rican people know somehow that this is therapeutic. Puerto Rican folks just know it's in their traditions that, they got to put garlic in everything. They putting garlic in the breakfast cereal. Listen, Puerto Rican people put garlic on their turkey and cheese. They putting garlic in their tuna fish. They putting garlic in their potato salad. They putting garlic in Captain Crunch, oatmeal. They putting garlic. They putting garlic inside Oreo cookies. Listen, they putting garlic everywhere. It's gonna be mad Puerto Rican people like, yo, you violated. We ain't putting garlic everywhere. Enqi, you violated. Listen, I'm from the Bronx, okay? And Puerto Rican people taught me how to love garlic. So because Puerto Rican people taught me how to love garlic, I can make jokes. Plus, they had me putting garlic everywhere. My oldest daughter is half Puerto Rican, so bye-bye. You want me to close that door on you, bro?
No, bruh.
So get out of here, man.
Wayne.
That boy be hating. That boy be hating. So key active compounds in the garlic: allicin and sulfur. Now, out the gate, when we get to the allicin, well, when we get to the sulfur, right? The only people in written history that have had a greater love affair with garlic than Puerto Ricans is Kemet. Not Egyptians. Kemet. Okay? Egyptian people and Kemetic people different, right? Not Egyptians. Kemet. Those are the only people known in written history who have had a greater love affair with garlic. All you got to do is go through the medical papyri. When you go through the medical papyri, it's a wrap. Garlic is everywhere. Garlic is in almost every formula. No matter if you bust your head or you got cancer or you got surgery, whatever you got, you're gonna put some garlic on it. I'm telling you. Listen. Now, Puerto Rican folks, they ain't know that part. They just knew it made everything delicious and it was, yeah. But I'm just saying, there's possibly a direct connection from the Kemetic people to the Puerto Ricans, or maybe not Puerto Ricans, right? Maybe we got to go Kemetic people to the Tainos, right? Maybe Kemetic, Taino, and then the Taino folks is not exactly Puerto Ricans, right? It's getting a little different, you know what I'm saying? Like black people, we're not exactly Africans, you know what I'm saying? We can trace back to Africans, but we're not exactly Africans, you know what I'm saying? So, yeah, we something new. We're not exactly Africans, you know what I'm saying? So, but yeah.